Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful land of enchantment, which is also known as New Mexico. And today's date is actually Wednesday, October 19th, 2016. Yeah, it's late Wednesday. So it'll be Thursday morning right now on the East Coast. And oops, and my phone went off. I gotta put that on vibrator. That's okay. No big deal. So, boom. End of story there. I don't like being interrupted. Yeah, I was like listening to some of that whole Roman circus of the 2016 presidential debate, or evangelical circus. And I gotta say, man, it's typical status quo topics. Nothing unique, nothing impressive. And of course, they're not paying their taxes and taxing the rich. I'm like, oh my goodness. When are you gonna study history, my friends? Especially the Hillary Clinton. She's here the same old song and dance, and she's owned, and she sells her buttocks to the banksters. And of course, Donald Trump with his crazy rough edges and his rhetoric is typical. Sometimes passion gets in the way. So, and of course, you got people taking sides. And as far as I'm concerned, let the chips fall. The Electoral College is going to make the official vote on the president, vice presidential ticket. That's right. So everyone goes, vote on November 8th for the presidency. It goes, once again, to the Electoral College. Yeah, so I'm just enjoying a little bit more relaxation before I head back. It looks like it's a nice moon out, too. All right. Pretty. All that good stuff. And hopefully everyone's having a great week. Even myself, try to get some work out here and look at the season end in my field for the little amphitheaters they got out in Albuquerque. That's how it goes. But I'll be heading down there hopefully by next week before Halloween to the beautiful swampy mangrove of South Florida, which is my home. However, New Mexico has its issues, just like the rest of the country and the world. But, I'm just checking on some of the videos, like NewsBuds, the good newsbuds.com is a great site, and it's actually run by, I'm going to say, individuals, donated money and all that. Nothing corporate or sponsored by any means. Check it out. There's really good stuff. They got some good videos out there. I'm on Boiling Frogs post subscription. Subscribe on YouTube. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. They've been talking about the whole provocateur and the immigration situation over there in Greece, around Europe. Something we should always check out. Always gotta look at the bigger picture and who's actually benefiting, plus the whole us against them, divide and rule scenario. And hey, that's how I observe the world and don't get caught in the Jim Jones syndrome. All right. As well, speaking of Big Brother or Jim Jones syndrome, I'm just gonna do a little bit short and sweet here. I'm not gonna go too crazy. So the first thing I'm gonna be actually checking out is from Wired.com, and it'll be actually gonna be two parts on here about the whole facial database and all that. And it says here, cops have a database of 117 million faces. You're probably in it. This is by Lily Hay Newman. As it says here, there's no secret that American law has been building facial recognition databases to aid in its investigations, but a new comprehensive report on the status of facial recognition as a tool in law enforcement shows the sheer scope and reach of the FBI's database of faces and those of state level law enforcement agencies. Roughly half of American adults are included in those collections, and that massive assembly of biometric data is assessed with only spotty oversight of its accuracy and how it's used in search. The 150-page report released, which is a link for that, my friends, okay? Just check it out. Released on Tuesday by the Center of Privacy and Technology at the Georgetown University Law School, found that law enforcement databases now include the facial recognition of information of 117 million Americans, about 1 in 2 U.S. adults. It goes on to outline the dangers to privacy, free speech, and protections against unreasonable search and seizure that come from unchecked use of that information. Currently, the report finds that at least a quarter of local and state police departments have access to a facial recognition database, either their own or other agencies. Law enforcement in more than half of all states can search against the trove of photos stored for IDs like driver's licenses. Facial recognition technology lets the police identify you from far away and in secret without ever talking to you, says Alvaro Bedoya, the executive director of Center of Privacy and Technology. Unless you have been arrested, the chances are you're not a criminal in a criminal fingerprint-based database or a criminal DNA base either. Yet by standing for a driver's license photo, at least 117 million adults have been enrolled in a face recognition network searched by the police or the FBI. He went on to describe the databases as an unprecedented privacy violation, a national biometric database that is populated primarily by law-abiding people. The report notes that no state has passed comprehensive legislation to define the parameters on how facial recognition should be used in law enforcement investigations. Only a handful of departments around the country have voluntarily imposed limits on searches to require reasonable suspicion of necessitate that they used be only in investigation of a serious crime. Similarly, few departments have enacted standards for testing the accuracy of their digital systems or teaching staff to visually confirm face matches, a skill that seemed like it would be innate, but actually requires specialized training, which is absolutely because this happened in Denver. And I know I did add it to my footnotes in my last episode, so check it out, okay? The report also raises unexpected concerns about the potential for racial bias in the facial recognition databases. Law enforcement agencies have, in many cases, argued that the biometric tools reduce racial policing. After all, a computer doesn't know the societal meaning of race or gender. It simply sorts and matches photos based on numeric analysis of features and patterns. But research has shown that facial recognition algorithms aren't as impartial as they seem. Depending on the data sets used to train machine learning systems, they can become far better at identifying people of some races than others. For example, some research indicates that facial recognition systems in the United States have lower accuracy when attempting to identify African Americans. Meanwhile, since law enforcement for facial recognition systems often include mugshots and arrest rates from among African Americans are higher than the general population, algorithms may be disproportionately able to find a match for black suspects. The FBI declined to specifically comment on the report, but referred to previous statements about its facial recognition program in which the agency said that its use of the technology prioritizes privacy and civil liberties beyond the requirements of the law. The agency also noted that when an investigator searches a facial recognition database, two separate human reviewers check potential matches the system returns before identifying an individual to an investigator, and only about 12% of the searches result in a positive identification. So 88 is not really, that's not a real good result when you think about it. It is not clear if any such safeguards apply to state and local level police using facial recognition systems. Perhaps the most dys- dystopian aspect of the report, it is finding that the real-time facial recognition identifying people in public as they pass a live feed video camera is increasing in popularity among police departments. The researchers found that five departments in major cities like Los Angeles and Chicago either already use real-time face recognition, own the technology to do it, or want to buy it. The pervasive surveillance raises similar concerns to image databases, but significantly expands questions about the expectation of privacy and the ability for police to perform this new form of surveillance and mass and in secret. The reaction to report, a coalition of more than 40 civil rights and civil liberty groups, including the American Civil Liberties Union and the Leadership Conference for Civil and Human Rights, launched an initiative on Tuesday asking the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division to evaluate current use of facial recognition technology around the country. With facial recognition, the police are free to identify and potentially track anyone if they have no evidence that the person has done anything wrong, says Nima Singh Giuliani. Okay. The Legislative Council for the ACLU. We do not expect that the police can identify us when we are walking into a mosque, attending an AA meeting, or when we're seeking a help at a domestic violence shelter. For about half of American adults, it is too late to keep their faces out of law enforcement's biometric surveillance system. Now, private advocates best hopes to limit of how that collection of faces can be used and abused. And that is a good example because, like I said, it happened in Baltimore, or in Denver with this one gentleman, and how many other cases too. And so, so it's always everything has to be honorably by the book. You have merit, not just play this Big Brother game, 1984 crap. That's how the Orwellian environment. That's what they're trying to really seek us on. Well, one thing I gotta do credit is these privacy advocate organizations are trying to make a difference, and because 12% in the positive identification, it tells you it's not really accurate. So, but I'm going to continue on here, which another one could relate to this. This is both from personal. This is from personalliberty.com, but originally came from Electronic Frontier Foundation. Facial recognition is a bigger privacy threat than anyone imagined. So, exercise your right to vote. Right. The article was being investigated was investigative researcher Dave Maass was originally published on the Electronic Frontier Foundation website. All right. Before all this ever went down, another place, another town, you're just in the face of the crowd. You're just facing the crowd. Out in the street, walking around and facing the crowd. That's by Tom Petty. All right, well, continue on here. If we don't speak up now, the days when we walk around with our heads held high without the fear of surveillance are numbered. Federal and local law enforcement across the country are adapting sophisticated facial recognition technologies to identify us on the streets and in social media by matching our faces to massive databases. That's right, Facebook and all that, my friends. We knew the threat was looming, but a brand new report from the Georgetown Law Center for Privacy and Technology indicates that the problem is far worse than we could have imagined. The researchers compared the use of facial recognition to perpetual lineup where everyday law-abiding citizens are pulled into law enforcement investigations without their consent and, in many cases, without their knowledge. The researchers sent more than 100 public records requests to police agencies among their findings. 1 in 2 American adults has their image in facial recognition network, implicating more than 117 million people. Law enforcement in at least 26 states use facial recognition in combination with driver license and ID photos. 16 states granted FBI access to their DMV databases. What a bunch of bend over bobs. Thank you. I must wonder if Florida has that too. Like they sold their soul to the feds. At least 5 large cities, including Los Angeles and Chicago and Dallas, use or have considered using facial recognition to scan the faces of pedestrians in real time with surveillance cameras. Facial recognition is almost completely unregulated. Those states have passed comprehensive laws limiting facial recognition, and only one of 52 agencies surveyed expressly forbids police from using facial recognitions to surveil people engaged in political, religious, or other First Amendment protected activities. Very few have taken measures to ensure accuracy of facial recognition results or have audited their systems for abuse. Facial recognition systems have disproportionate impact on communities of color. One study, which included an FBI researcher, found the technology is less reliable when analyzing African American faces because African Americans are already arrested at a disproportionate rate. Their mugshots are overrepresented in facial recognition databases. If the technology has a higher rate of misidentification of people of color, this will also increase the chance they will be considered a suspect for a crime they didn't commit. EFF raised many of these issues in our response to the FBI's plan to exempt its next generation activity biometric database. In response to the report, EFF has joined a large coalition of privacy advocates demanding the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division to take two major steps to keep facial recognition in check. One, expand on ongoing investigations of police practices and include in future investigations and examination of whether the use of surveillance technologies, including face recognition technologies, have a disparate impact on communities of color. And two, consult with and advise the FBI to examine whether the use of face recognition has a disparate impact on the communities of color. The problem isn't just the police, but also an aggressive push by biometric tech vendors who downplay the accuracy issues while marketing the systems as crucial to contemporary policing. The danger that facial recognition poses to our privacy and civil liberties is real and immediate. While we do give a small amount of privacy when we walk around in public, we must preserve our ability to blend in as just a face in the crowd. So, something to look at, my friends, and that's one thing you gotta really observe. Just like I said before, 1984, man, we gotta counter it, fight it, and all that. And like I said, and like even it's not always accurate for certain folks. It's not. So that's another assumption, and that's dangerous. Could be more innocent people maybe be taken in because of some technical misidentification. So, hey, I support the privacy movement and so forth. Everyone get involved. Make a difference. Don't just say, but do. All right. Well, this next one here came from Personal Liberty, and this says Rubio, GOP should feel WikiLeaks too. And it's by Sam Rowley. It says here, for the political establishment, watching transparency is really bad for business. That's why former presidential candidate and Florida Senator Marco Rubio wants his Republican colleagues to stop discussing the leaked emails revealing Hillary Clinton's extreme corruption. In a recent interview with ABC, Rubio parroted the Democratic talking point that the leaked Clinton campaign emails should be ignored because they may have been acquired by foreign hackers. As our intelligence agency have said, these leaks are an effort by a foreign government to interfere with our electoral process, and I will not indulge it, Rubio said. Yeah, he's a go figure. He's just another pretty boy, okay? The Florida lawmaker then added, I hate when you use that language, lawmaker. He's a confounded servant, okay? Then added something that Republican voters should not ignore. I want to warn my fellow Republicans who may want to capitalize politically on these leaks. Today is the Democrat. Tomorrow it could be us, he said. Which he's right. Of course, for the conservatives and anyone else tired of the big government corruption out of Washington, there is only one real answer to Rubio's warning. We hope so. I agree with that. And they may not be long until we get the opportunity to find out how the GOP establishment is equally as corrupt as Clinton's campaign machine. Earlier this year, many reports surfaced indicating that the same fools who hacked the Clinton servers accessed the troves of GOP emails. Top Republican Party officials denied that any such data breach occurred. But if it did, and we just haven't seen all the emails yet, the political establishment is likely in for a wild ride. That's because the GOP emails would likely provide detailed insights as to how the Republican establishment tried and failed to knock out Trump out of the running in favor of more politically connected candidate Jeb Bush, and without the assistance of mainstream media the Clinton machine enjoys. The GOP's actions will receive widespread coverage. Basically, a Clinton-style data dump for the GOP would offer proof of what Trump supporters and supporters of the other GOP presidential candidates outside the establishment have suspected all along. Worse for members of the GOP establishment like Rubio is that a leak will likely prove the extent to which many Republicans are only pretending to oppose Democratic big government policies to please voters. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, the name of the game is political establishment versus the people. The truth is that the Republican establishment has given conservative voters every indication that it truly wants Clinton to win the election next month. And why wouldn't they? She's for big war, big business, and maintaining the Washington status quo. But many members of the GOP establishment, while jumping to say that they're against Trump, have spotted short of offering a blanket endorsement of Clinton, at least not in public. Yep. Hey, I hope so too. I know one thing. I'm expecting them to pour the crap out of all these neocon stooges like Glamboy Rubio and probably more in the Bushes. It looks like, because remember, the Bushes and the Clintons are buddies. It's no and just or buts. They're buddies. They sell their souls to the one world order, the big banksters, and all that crap. So don't jump on the hype, my friends. But I hope so, and I'd like to see Rubio, probably stuff on Rubio, Marco Rubio, and some of his other glam boys in the Republican Party too, because I am not impressed with them at all. As like I've been telling people in the past, both major parties are in extreme turmoil. You know what? I am very happy about that. So with George Washington, because he warned us on his farewell address. All right, do one more here. It'll be finally one more. As I said, I'm not gonna take too long. This is from naturalnews.com, and it actually came out yesterday, and the 18th of October. It says here microwaves, Wi-Fi, and other EMF signals linked to headaches, fatigue, depression, anxiety, and more. This is by Ethan A. Huff. And the plethora of smart devices on the market today is making life more convenient and communications more streamlined. But some of the latest research hitting the science journals suggests that these everyday consumer products, everything from ordinary microwave ovens and smartphones to advanced Wi-Fi routers and radioactive smart meters, are systematically destroying human health. Migraine headaches, chronic fatigue, depression, anxiety, and among the many common maladies that are being increasingly linked to these technologies, which bombard the body with radioactive frequencies recognized for upsetting the body's biological rhythm. Some studies show that electromagnetic frequencies can depolarize the membranes of that protect the nerves and muscle tissues, damaging cells and facilitating the extent life cycle of oxidizing free radicals. A fairly recent study published in the journal Electronic Physician breaks it all down explaining EMF how EMFs massively disrupt human psychological balance in multiple ways. Both thermal and non-thermal EMFs are harmful. It notes, adding the EMFs in general are known to directly alter the behavior of cells and tissues and affecting the damage of the cardiovascular system, bone marrow, DNA, blood, reproductive functions, and more. The endocrine system, which manufactures hormones, is also disrupted by constant exposure to EMF as vital organs, which ended up operating at less than optimal levels when bombarded by these radioactive waves. EMFs are both cytotoxic and genotoxic. The sum of this research shows, and nearly every system of the body is damaged by their presence. That's how serious the situation is, and many people aren't even aware of it. Human exposure to EMFs come from many sources and situations are different in people's everyday lives. The paper explains. There are many factors that influence the degree to which people may affected to EMFs. If the body's biological system is exposed to EMFs, which produce electric currents and fields, which in fact deals with the current and voltage, the normal psychological physiological balance is upset. Declassified government documents admit that EMFs are a serious health hazard. Interestingly enough, it's been a secret known by the U.S. government for many decades that EMFs are immensely harmful, but this information has been deliberately kept under wraps and out of the limelight in order to keep these technologies available to those entities that use them for malevolent purposes. Catherine Frompovic, writing for Natural Blaze, highlights how microwave technology continues to move forward despite its not-so-safe track record, because it's dream warfare technology that the U.S. government and other entities use to convert for covert purposes. In other words, despite their known dangers, EMS are intentionally allowed at unsafe levels to accommodate the agenda of those who profit from its use, or worse, those who can use it as a biological weapon. That's interesting stuff there, folks. If there are more advanced nations of the West are strict in the enforcement of stringent exposure standards, there could be unfavorable effects on the industrial point and military function. An unclassified U.S. Army document entitled Biological Effects of Electromagnetic Radiation, which is radio waves and microwave, Eurasian Communist Countries explain. The Eurasian Communist countries could, on the other hand, give lip service to strict standards but allow their military to operate without restriction and thereby gain the advantage of electronic warfare techniques and development of anti-personnel applications. If you take this all at face value, governments are essentially lying to the public about the dangers of EMF and pretending, though, as EMF emitting technologies are safer than they are in order to keep them for covert military or other purposes. The amounts to blatant exploitation of the public's trust and in our regulatory system and a dastardly betrayal of the world's most vulnerable. So, and you can get look at naturalblaze.com for more information. There's a couple of links, so check it out yourselves. I know people have been talking about this for a long time, how dangerous these things are, and we all get addicted and so forth. Even myself, I have my little vice issues with this technological stuff. However, like especially microwave ovens and all that, I just think of it as wants, not needs. In method, you get use straight line stuff, and it should be filter gadgets out there, like a Blue Shield, I think is one of them. It can protect you from that as well. What's really scary is even with the police officers, okay, they have all that Wi-Fi stuff, EMF, electronic magnetic frequencies in their police vehicle, and that is scary. I'm real concerned with them on that too. And of course, the microwave stuff you see at the airports. And I'm not even wearing any like leather leaded vest. Okay, so something you gotta think about. Everyone's health is at stake, and we just gotta find alternatives or find filters, at least to protect us from these signals or minimize them the best we can. Because especially for the younger folks, younger children, because their cells are not fully developed, this affects them a lot more. And that's when we got to be really health conscious on this when we use these things, these gadgets and technological gadgets, because it's, hey, my health is more important than ever. So try not to get too ape over these particular entities. You think of them as wants, not needs. It's the best of your ability, and just go a little shopping to how to counter these. There's products out there that you can counter these, and even myself, I gotta start using them. So safety, remember, safety is your main priority, especially on your health. All right, my friends, that is all for now. I thank everyone for listening to this episode. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks, including the rest of my archives. If you have any questions, comments, or send me something that's interesting, I haven't addressed, whatever you do, please deliver your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, or Scene.life. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is LokiLuck and the number 3 altogether at gmail.com. All right, my friends, that's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the Demoniac Resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.